Hey everybody, I wanted to start a new series called Money Mythbusters, where I take just a few minutes and go over a myth about money, something that has been taught, has been believed, that is just frankly not true. And the reason I want to do this is because one of the greatest detriments to your financial future is misinformation, is financial illiteracy, is believing something about money that's not actually true. I want you to succeed. I want you to win. I want you to get financial freedom. But if you're believing the wrong things, if you're being limited by the fallacies and by the myths that are preached and taught in this world, then you're never going to succeed. You're never going to win. And that's just sad. I want you to win. So, Money Mythbusters, here we go. Today, the Money Mythbuster is that you need a credit card instead of a debit card for fraud protection. Okay, this is true and false. The true part of this is, yes, debit card itself does not offer fraud protection like a credit card does. Whenever you have a debit card that is tied to your bank account, there's a PIN number associated with that. And anytime you use that debit card and you enter that PIN number in, then if anybody happens to find that PIN number and use it on that card or that number, they have access to your account. So it's pretty loose there. That's why your PIN number is so important to protect. It's like your social security number. You do not release your PIN number because your PIN number ties your debit card to your bank account. On the flip side, if you use a credit card, usually all that's required is a signature, if anything, and the credit card company, by initiating that signature, that is their PIN number essentially, to where that card is not valid without that signature. Now, more and more with the way that cards are designed, you don't even need the signature all the time to run it under that protection, under that fraud protection, and get those same principles. But here is the false element of it. You can run a debit card as a credit card. That's right. You can use your debit card as a credit card. Now, don't get confused. Every time you use your debit card, it's still working as a debit card and it's still pulling the money directly from your account. That hasn't changed. But whenever you use your debit card, if you bypass the PIN or you select to use it as a credit and you sign for it, or like I said, anymore, you don't even have to sign for it, you just say it's a credit card, then your transaction falls under the exact same policy and protection as your credit card did. Just by using your debit card as a credit card, by selecting that option and by not entering your PIN, you bypass that and your debit card transaction falls under the safety and security and protection of a credit card transaction for fraud. I do this all the time. I use a debit card every time I leave the house practically. I mean, I don't go anywhere unless I'm going to buy something usually, and I use a card more than I use cash, to be quite honest, just because of the way it works for me. But every single time I use my debit card, I run it as credit because it provides that same exact fraud protection as a credit card does. The money's still coming out of my account. That hasn't changed. It's still a debit card tied to my bank account. But whenever I run it as a credit card, I have the same exact fraud protection. So you don't need a credit card for protection. You don't need a credit card to be traveling overseas. You don't need a credit card for business. I have 2 debit cards, personal and business. That's all I use. That's all you need. So you can use your debit card as a credit card, get that fraud protection, bypass that PIN. It works all the time. I do it all the time. Give it a try and see what happens. That's our Money Mythbuster for this week. If you have any questions about financial management, about financial coaching, reach out to me. In the meantime, like, share, comment, post. You know what to do with your Money Mythbuster post of the week.